Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's episode is all about Joe Rogan signing an exclusive multi-year deal with Spotify worth $100 million. Alright, welcome back and thank you so much for tuning in today. If it's your first time in this channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell button so you will not miss any episode that I produce and release every week. And while you're at it, please smash that like button so this channel can have a fighting chance to hack the YouTube algorithm and we can show this episode to a lot of people too as well. And without your support, this channel will not grow, and I really do appreciate you. So let's get started. A couple of days ago, Joe Rogan shocked the world with a huge announcement that he signed an exclusive multi-year licensing deal with Spotify worth $100 million, according to the Wall Street Journal. What it means is that all of Joe Rogan's podcast episode released both on YouTube and in audio will be moved onto the streaming platform Spotify beginning September 1st of this year. And then all of JRE's library of 1,500 episodes, including all of the videos, will be housed exclusively on Spotify by the end of this year and will be removed from all other platforms. As Joe Rogan said in his video posted on Instagram, quoted, "I will not be an employee of Spotify. It will be the exact same show. I'll be working with the same production crew, doing the exact same thing. The only difference will be it will be on the largest audio platform in the world, Spotify." So for those of you who doesn't know who Joe Rogan is, let's give a little bit of context and deep dive into his background. Joseph James Rogan, also known as Joe Rogan, started his career as a stand-up comedian while doing other jobs as learning martial arts, delivering newspapers, driving a limousine, doing construction work, and completing duties for a private investigation. His first big break started in 1994 when Rogan relocated to Los Angeles and signed an exclusive deal with Disney Network, yes, Disney, and secured his first major acting role in Fox sitcom 9-episode Hardball. One quote he mentioned during his acting career that I really love is that if you can lie, you can act. And if you can lie to crazy girlfriends, you can act under pressure. He had been a commentator in UFC cage match and host of a wildly successful TV show back in the day called Fear Factor. And then
Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't assault people. What are you doing?
when 2009 came, he started the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, which last year had 190 million downloads per month. The JRE podcast features from all walks of life, from celebrities to athletes to musicians, politicians, conspiracy theorists, billionaires like Elon Musk. Think of a public figure you know, and they probably end up as a guest on Joe Rogan's show. And Rogan's always an advocate of a long media format which runs 2 to 3 hours regularly per episode. So what does it mean and why is it relevant? So here's the thing. Number one, Spotify is investing in the future of podcasting. Last year alone, Spotify acquired both Gimlet Media, a New York-based podcast production company, and Anchor app, which makes it easy for anyone to record audio on the move and distribute their recordings directly to their smartphone. With Rogan moving in towards the streaming platform Spotify, market cap value soared high from $30.53 billion to $35.36 billion, earning them $5 billion in the process. You might want to check out Patrick Bet David's video on this. And of course, with Rogan being the first, this just validates us that we podcasters and content creators alike bring in real value towards the platform, which makes it more attractive for brands and companies to invest their advertising dollars towards podcasting. And of course, number two, a study released by Deloitte December last year, 2019, shows that if the future growth remains as high in the past few years, the podcasting market can go up to 3.3 billion plus in the year 2025, which means if you don't have a podcast right now in video or in audio format, you're literally missing out. Number three, there are currently 850,000 active podcast shows worldwide and over 30 million podcast episodes. Think about it. Some people say podcasts already reach 1 million, more than that, but compared to 600 million active blogs and 35 million YouTube channels, there's still tons of room for growth in the podcasting arena. And there's still plenty of room for you to add your own podcast and message to the mix. So how cool is that? So if you're thinking about starting your own podcast, don't worry, there's a lot of opportunities waiting in for you and I, especially since Joe Rogan moved in and made this wise decision. Number four, 65% of podcast listeners use mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets. And this number will continue to grow as majority of the population will move in towards digital. The new norm, as we call it, are forcing everyone, listen to this, forcing everyone to make their purchases online instead of going into the traditional retail stores. And sadly shows half of the listeners are more likely to consider buying from a brand after hearing its advertisement on a podcast. So what can we learn from Rogan's journey? So what can we learn, guys? So the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because you and I have now an opportunity to grab that piece of a pie in the podcasting space, no matter what format it is, video and audio. So what can we learn in Rogan's journey? Number one, in order for you to stand out, you need to be willing to take the risk to the point you're being labeled as unconventional. And this is where Rogan tripled down his efforts. I mean, if you watch his episode, Rogan's not afraid to challenge and provoke his guests on the show to show and give him the real facts, not just based on hearsay or what the guest really believes in to be real. And, there are some instances where I think it was around 2018 where he offered a blunt to Elon Musk, and somehow Elon Musk took it in, and Elon Musk had somehow had this reputation, and the Tesla market went down by 9% back then. So there's a lot of things happening. But here's the thing: if you are a good podcast host or you are a producer of a podcast, you have a certain guidelines of whatnot and what, then there's a big chance that just being yourself and provoking your guest to do something unconventional, to make, not just to make the show interesting, but to really bring in value to the audience watching your show, be willing to take the risk. That is number one. And of course, the way I see it, it doesn't matter what your background is, what your childhood looked like, where you grow up, what kind of jobs you need to take to put in food in the table. I mean, like Rogan, if you study his life, although podcasting, it is around 11 years since he started, just think about his background. He used to deliver newspapers, do construction jobs, do stand-up comedy. How cool is that? And then he became a podcast host until he find the thing that he enjoys most, and produces this podcast. And why do you think Spotify grabbed Joe Rogan? They didn't went for number 10, number 8, or number 5, but they went straight for number 1. That's because they knew that by bringing in Rogan into the platform, there will be a huge surge of eyeballs, of new audiences coming into the platform, which in return will bring in new users and advertising dollars and become more attractive to brands and companies. And of course, you know, you got to embrace all of you in order for you to show up authentically and credible as possible. So let me ask you a question, guys. For those of you watching this episode right now, let me ask you a question. Are you ready to start your own podcast? Are you ready to build your influence, income, and impact in the industry you are in? Or probably you want to build your own community and be surrounded by like-minded people who gets you and understand you. Today's an exciting time for podcasting. Let me invite you to a free training webinar on I'll show you where how you can build, start, grow, and monetize your own podcast. So if this is you and you enjoyed this episode, please click the link below and let's get started. So if you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to share this with your friends, peers, network, and family. And wherever part of the world you are in, remember this: stay safe. God bless.